What's up, everybody? How we doing? Sunday morning. Actually, no, it's Sunday afternoon, after church, post-church. And I don't know, this might not get posted, this might get posted, I don't know. But we wrapped up car ride sessions, 5 episodes, they're out. They're up on YouTube, but something that I will do on my commutes, wherever I'm going, is, and something that I like to think about is just like industry. Where's industry going? Where has it been? What's, you know, what's going on the industry side of things, creatively, fixture wise, you know, and even just thinking about like, all right, what's hitting, you know, right now? Is it still big video walls, or is it beams? Is it, you know, are we back to like gobos and, you know, washes? And anyway, so I'm kind of gonna just maybe ramble on and maybe give some thoughts, and you can leave in the comments some of your thoughts on where we're at going with the industry, like the lighting industry as a whole. And there's a few things that I do to try to stay fresh, maybe, or to stay up to date on you know, what's going on in the lighting world, but even just in the production world in general. And, you know, I check out PLSN Magazine, Technologies for Worship Magazine, Church Production Magazine, and try to just, and what I love about those magazines is just in general industry news, product news. I want to see what news what new things, new products are coming out, as well as just what are people touring with, what are concerts out, what are shows out using. And I was kind of thinking about like sort of the arc of, you know, we have these milestones in lighting about you know, I don't know how many years apart, but like it seems like we have these milestones. You know, ETC came out with the Source 4 wrapped around the HPL lamp. That was like a huge, you know, huge product for the lighting world. And then you had you know, the advent of movers. You had the VL, you know, VL3. I think was a heavy hitter. And then you had Martin came out with the Mac 2000 line. You had these like really big moving fixture products that really just took off in the industry. And then you had the, you know, the coming of LED walls, and this like big, you know, big LED walls, big and bright, that a lot of these spotlights just, you know, designers couldn't cut through the video content. And so in comes the Sharpy, and you had, you know, Sharpy, which was like, you know, now you had beam fixtures. So, which basically created a whole nether category of lights. You had, for the longest time, you just had spots and washes. Those were kind of the big two. And then you had beam fixtures, with the, you know, coming in of the Sharpy. And so now it's like, okay, well, I have a hybrid fixture. It's a beam and a wash, but also a spot, and, you know, so you have that. And then I would argue you had, you know, the batten fixture that tilted. So you had like the chorus line, or I think the X4 bar. That was kind of a style. But then you had the JDC1, which was like a big new tool for designers to use, that was like bright, colorful, it tilted, so you had some movement, had some pixel control, some of these higher parameter counts, these higher channel count fixtures, multi-instance fixtures that gave all kinds of different design options. And you had a strobe in it, which was like on top of all of this deep, rich, bright color that I'm just washing the air with. Now on top of that, I have a super bright strobe, and I can tilt it, like, you know, the JDC1 and even the M Strike. And I think, you know, because, you know, there's all these new products coming out that are really great products. They're really great fixtures. They're bright. They have all kinds of different options, all kinds of different feature sets on board. And then, you know, I think it was Clay Packy comes out with the Valero Wave, that is like this, chorus line X4 bar type fixture, Tetra type fixture that was like independent now, because now you can do, each thing is independent, so you can do these like kind of cool finger type beam, beam type looks and do a line of them, and now you have this crazy amount of movement and color, and they zoom as well. So it's, the thing that I'm kind of getting at is like, what's the next thing? That seems to be hitting. That seems to be something that is being used in all kinds of shows. The Valero Wave, but then you also had the Chauvet, the Pixel Curve, and which is really cool. They're kind of in that same family. But what's next? Like, what's the, is that fixture taking? Like, is it going to be that, like, oh, I got to have, like the Solaris Flare, or the M Strike, or the JDC1 type fixture? Is that kind of the next thing that's taking off? But then, what's after that? What's the fixture, or what's and I don't know if there's necessarily a fixture out there or a problem out there that a fixture on the market can't solve right now. It seems like just about any manufacturer you go to has something, and I've even looked, like, I'm a pretty big fan of Ayrton. I think they put out really great products. Something that I think there is a little bit of a market for is that smaller package wash fixture that has your framing shutters, has gobos. Ayrton has products in that line, and the thing I think that they do really well at is they've got their series, which is like basically just honestly brightness. There's some feature sets that are different for sure, but I need a spot in a wash, but I don't need it to be 60,000 lumens or 35,000 lumens. I only need 20,000 or 25,000 lumens, and I don't want it to weigh 65, 70, 95 pounds. Ayrton's right there. And Elation also has the Fuse Wash FR, which is kind of in that same family, has framing shutters. But there's not much else out there in that size, in that form factor, that's wash, has a high CRI, has framing shutters. Also, what I love about the Ayrton line is it has gobos. Yeah, it's not going to be a super sharp beam. You're not using it for that. You're using it for texture. You're using it for something very different. And also the gobos in those are very specific to a theatrical front light type application. But anyway, the thing is, like, you've had these, over time in the lighting industry, you have these, markers of different fixtures coming out that just sort of take off and are these really big products that the industry and designers really just take and run with. I'm just wondering what the next thing is. I have some ideas about what it could be, but I know there's the laser enhanced, or that laser energized sources, and also when it comes to sources, just pay attention to the projection industry. They moved over to lasers several years back, probably 10 years ago. Probably some of the first laser sources of projectors. You're starting to see that now in the Xylos series, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but of these laser source fixtures. That it's interesting. Is LED? Are we just getting brighter and brighter LEDs, or I don't know. What's coming up next? Is it just bigger, brighter movers? If that's the case, I'm like, okay, and some of, like, the Wave and some of these other fixtures, and even the JDC2 that's come out, I'm interested to see how that does in the industry. I have some doubts about that, but it's certainly an interesting thing. But also, there's very much this marrying of video and lighting that they've kind of courted each other. They've certainly dated and been engaged, but now there very much seems to be this true, like, melding the two together you've had ArtNet merge for a long time. You certainly have all kinds of, like the Zonda effects, the Zonda line from Ayrton, like the liquid type stuff, and you have the Martin Pixel or a Pixel line. You have all these multi-instance pixel fixtures that are fully capable of taking in not only DMX but also ArtNet from a video source. And then you have there's that, but then there's also console and control surfaces that have these crazy high output counts, channel counts or parameter counts if you're on MA. And so it becomes like, and coupling with, Onyx has die loss, which I have never, I've messed with very briefly, and then MA3 now has bit mapping. So you have these crazy high channel counts, but also you have, these consoles and control surfaces very much leaning into, bit mapping and taking in a video source and putting it on your fixtures. It's putting video on your lights very, very, very easy. There's no more like, I got a patch on both sides and I have to map my lights in my media server, whether it be Resolume or Disguise, whatever it is that you're using. You have to map, then you do ArtNet merge, you have to make sure everything's on the same network. On, like, right now, it's like I just take in an NDI stream from Resolume and I can just do my selection grid, bit map it, and boom, I've got video showing up on my lights. There's a few control options that I hope eventually will be implemented on MA for video and color calibration, and maybe some smoothing of, if you have a video source that's too harsh and maybe you want to blur some of the pixels, that would be dope. But anyway, these are just kind of the ramblings that I get myself into, just to think through, like, what's the next thing, what's coming up, leave something in your, leave a comment, and if you've got an idea, or if you've used some of the fixtures that I've talked about and the pros and cons of them, or maybe you've got this grandiose idea, maybe just keep it to yourself and patent it and go make a bunch of money on it. I don't know, but just leave a comment on where you think the lighting industry is headed next. Where it's at, I think it's really great. We've got plenty of manufacturers to choose from right now. It's a support. Who has the best support? Just about any manufacturer has a product that will solve your problem, whatever problem it is that you have. But what comes down to is the people and the support and the back end of that transaction. So I'm curious to see what's next in the lighting industry, and curious to see what y'all think too. So anyway, I don't know what this session is called. Maybe it'll just be called the Lampy Ramblings or something. I don't know. But anyway, all right. Bye, everybody.